Hey, we hope you're having a great day. I'm Tom.
I'm Holly.
And welcome to HBC's YouTube channel.
Welcome to day 21 of Journey Through the Bible. Can you believe we've made it this long? We hope you're getting on all right in isolation. I know it's getting really tough for everyone and a bit boring, but we hope you're doing all right, whether that's working from home, homeschooling, or just trying to keep yourself sane. And we're sending you our thoughts and our prayers, and we can't wait to be reunited.
So today, we're right at the end of chapter 9. We're going to read the conclusion of chapter 9, so let's jump in and see what Paul says.
Romans 9, verses 30 to 33. What then shall we say? That the Gentiles, who did not pursue righteousness, have obtained it, a righteousness that is by faith. But the people of Israel, who pursued the law as the way of righteousness, have not attained their goal. Why not? Because they pursued it not by faith, but as if it were by works. They stumbled over the stumbling stone. As it is written, See, I lay in Zion a stone that causes people to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. And the one who believes in him will never be put to shame.
Now in these final few verses, Paul concludes the debate that he's been having on this issue of Jewish unbelief. And he points out some difficult truths and some implications that it has on the Jewish nation. He makes the valid point that the gospel is now accessible to the Gentiles, who have, for the majority of the time, spent most of their time looking away from God, having nothing to do with the things of God. And now, all of a sudden, they're welcomed into God's plan for salvation, able to access it by grace. Whereas, by contrast, the Jews, who have spent their life devoted to the law and following God's command, who have been God's chosen people for all of this time, seem to be left out of the plan because they're going about it trying to save themselves by works and not by grace. It seems a little unfair. But Paul used this idea of a stumbling block in order to show that the cross is actually the stumbling point for the Jews. He uses this metaphor because the cross is an offence to the Jews, because it promotes salvation through grace. There's nothing that we can do on our own merit to earn it. It's a free gift, and so it rejects self-righteousness. The fact that Christ had to die for our sins shows that there is no way that we could possibly save ourselves. And that is what causes the Jews to stumble, because they just can't get their head around that.
Paul's conclusion is that there are only two options for all of us. Either we believe in Christ and put our trust in God, building our lives on his rock, or we choose to reject this and to continue to stumble on the rock to no avail. The conclusion of chapter 9 is a confirmation of God's election, a reminder of everyone's need for salvation, and finally a declaration that we have responsibility for how we choose to respond to the gospel.
Time for our application. Now chapter 9 hasn't been an easy one to read, but it's definitely worth not skimming over. I found this quote really helpful. It's from J.J. Gurney, and it's really insightful. He says this: As wheels in a complicated machine may move in opposite directions and yet subserve a common end, so may truths apparently opposite be perfectly reconcilable with each other and equally subserve the purposes of God in the accomplishment of man's salvation. In other words, even if things are hard to get our heads around and to understand about God, that doesn't mean that he is somehow flawed or he's not the God that we thought he was. What we have to remember at all times is that we can trust God. We might not understand how he works, but God's heart is always for the purpose and for the good of the salvation of all of his people.
That's day 21 of Journey Through the Bible. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a tough chapter, but we want to know what your top tips are for surviving isolation. So share them in the comments below, send them by email, put them in our social media, but let's just share our top tips with each other. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.